It began like any other morning at Graceland. Quiet, respectful, ordinary.
But then a single press release shattered
Oh my gosh, it's amazing, isn't it?
A team
I
of
mean, people
researchers had
really connect
uncovered
with him,
something
and
buried
he had that
deep,
beautiful voice, and
literally
it's like I've
historically.
said many
For
times.
years,
On a
Elvis
quiet morning
fans
in Memphis,
visited the tomb
Tennessee,
to feel
a
close to
statement
their
from an
idol.
unexpected
Now
team
new
of experts
findings
triggered a
suggest that
ripple
what
effect
lies
no one
beneath
saw
may
coming.
not match the
The
legend
head-
Single press release
What exactly
shattered
was
the
found,
stillness.
and why has this discovery been kept quiet until now? Experts reveal a huge announcement about
Before
Elvis Presley.
you get the feeling that he's singing to you. I mean, I've experienced that.
What if Elvis Presley left behind more than just music?
What
if beneath the
lines didn't scream? But beneath the surface, something shifted.
Elvis Presley,
A huge
the
announcement
legendary
about
king of
Elvis
rock and
Presley's
roll.
tomb at Graceland
Millions
had
have visited this garden.
A team of
walking the
researchers
quiet
had
path
uncovered
past the
something
grave of a
buried
man who
deep,
changed music
literally
forever.
and
But
historically.
recently something happened
years.
that no
Glamour
one
of
could have seen
Graceland,
coming.
hidden
What
under the marble
began
and
as a
memories,
simple
there was
construction
something
project
deeper,
turned into
something
a
he
stunning
never meant
discovery
for the
that
world to
left
find until
experts,
now.
just been made.
fans,
One
and
that
the
would blur
world
the lines
speechless.
between fact,
It started with
folklore,
concerns
and
about
forgotten
soil
history.
erosion. The
For
Graceland
decades,
Foundation
fans have-
wanted to
Elvis
reinforce the
fans
Meditation
visited the
Gardens
tomb to feel
Foundation to
close to
protect
their
the area
idol.
from future damage. Contractors brought in their machines,
Now, new findings-
expecting a routine job.
This isn't a
But as they
conspiracy
dug
theory.
deeper near Elvis's
It's a real
tomb,
discovery
their
shaking
tools
the
hit something
foundation of one of the most
unexpected.
iconic
A loud
estates in
metallic
American
clang
history.
echoed
Flocked to
through the
Graceland.
site.
Not
It
just to
wasn't a
remember the
pipe
king
or
of rock and
wire.
roll, but
It
to
was
feel something
solid.
indescribable.
Something buried in
Something
the earth
alive.
where no one thought
Now-
anything
Suggests
should
that what lies
be.
beneath may
At
not
first,
match
the workers
the
thought
legend
maybe
above.
it was an old utility box.
What exactly was
But when they
found?
cleared away more
And
dead,
why has
they
this
found a rusted
Underground
iron hatch sealed
chambers,
tightly with
secret
bolts.
journals,
That's when everything
and a message
stopped.
from the king that
the
changes
Graceland
everything.
Foundation immediately halted
On a calm
construction.
morning,
Now, a
Within
quiet
hours, a
investigation
team of
tied to the
specialists was
tomb has
flown
stirred
in.
old whispers back into the
Archaeologists,
public square.
engineers,
This is
and
shocking,
even spiritual
not because it's
historians.
sensational, but because
Something was
been
buried
kept
beneath
quiet
Graceland
until now.
and no one had a clue what
Experts
it could be.
reveal
When they
a
finally
huge
opened the hatch,
announcement about
what they
Elvis
found
Presley's
took
tomb.
in
everyone
Memphis,
by
Tennessee.
surprise.
Something
Beneath the
unusual
meditation
happened that
garden,
didn't immediately
right
make
under
headlines,
Elvis's resting
but would
place,
go on to draw
was a stone
significant
staircase
attention.
spiraling
might be
30
true.
foot underground.
Why
At
now?
the bottom was a
Why the
cold,
silence for so
silent
long? And
chamber
what did
that
these
looked
experts
almost
find
like a
beneath the
secret
layers of
chapel.
time and concrete?
The walls had small shelves for candles.
In Graceland,
a wooden crucifix leaned in one corner,
the sacred
and everything
room
was covered in
below.
a thick layer of dust. In the center of the room
A team
sat a
of
simple
specialists,
stone altar.
originally
On it
brought
was
in for a
leather journal.
routine
Its
structural
pages
project,
old and worn.
made a
When
discovery
they
at
opened the
Graceland.
journal, they were.
As we unravel
shocked to
this
see
mystery, you'll see
Elvis's
why
own
Graceland
handwriting.
is shaking,
These were
and why this
personal
announcement
entries,
shocks everyone.
words no one
The
had
sacred
read
room
before.
below.
He wrote about
For
how
years,
fame had
the
taken a toll
meditation
on him,
garden at
how the
Graceland
spotlight
has been a
sometimes
peaceful
felt
and
like a
sacred
prison,
place.
and how he
A
found
spot
comfort in
where
this
fans
quiet
could
It
underground
set off a
space.
series of
He
questions
called it his
and a
pilgrimage
much larger
chamber.
investigation
In one
than
entry
anyone
he
had
wrote,
anticipated.
I come down here when the
Graceland,
noise gets too
known
loud.
For
when the
decades,
voices of
the
the world
meditation
drown out
garden
the
had been a
voice of
place of
God.
reverence,
Down here,
a sacred resting
I feel
ground for
real.
Elvis Presley.
Down here,
visited
I
by
remember who
Pay
I
their
am.
respects
This
to
secret
Elvis
room
Presley,
wasn't.
the
An
legendary
accident.
king of
It had
rock
been
and
built
roll.
during a renovation in the late
Millions have
1960s.
visited this garden.
Carefully,
Globally as the home and
deliberately,
final resting
and
place of Elvis
completely off the
Presley,
official
has long
blueprints.
been considered
Only
a place
few
of
people
pilgrimage
close
for
to
fans.
Elvis,
It's
possibly
more than a
members of
millions.
his trusted inner
But
circle
now,
known as the
it was the
Memphis
epicenter
Mafia.
of a mystery
Likely
that
knew
even
about it,
seasoned
but
historians
no
and
one ever
preservation
spoke of
experts
it.
couldn't have
Not
scripted.
in interviews,
Walking
not
the
in
quiet
books,
path past the
not
grave
in
of a man
whispers.
who
Why did
changed
Elvis
music
create
forever.
such a hidden
But
space
recently,
beneath where he would
something
one day
happened
be buried?
that-
Museum
Was it
or
a place
tourist
for
attraction.
reflection?
For
a
many,
personal
it
retreat,
holds emotional
or
and even
something
spiritual value.
deeper, a
Over
symbol
the
of his
years,
spiritual
millions-
journey.
It began
When the
innocently
Graceland
enough with an
Foundation
upgrade
held a
project
press
to reinforce
conference
the
share
garden's
news,
foundation,
they called it a
sparked by concerns of
monumental
soil
revelation,
erosion.
a rare
But as
look into
contra-
the
No
soul
one
of a
could have
man
seen
whom the
coming.
world thought they
What
already
began
knew.
as a simple
The discovery
construction
sent
project
shockwaves through
turned
the
into a
media.
stunning
Fans
discovery
cried.
that left experts
Have walked
Reporters
through its
rushed to
rooms,
cover the story.
stood before the famous
Conspiracy
gates,
theorists came
and
out
paid
in
their
full
respects
force
in the
trying to
meditation
connect the
garden
dots
where
in
Elvis is
wild
buried.
new ways.
Contractors
Beyond
began
all the
excavating
buzz,
near the tomb's
room
base.
raised a
Their
very
equipment
human
struck
question.
something solid.
What was Elvis?
A sharp metallic
Searching
clang
for
echoed
down
beneath
there,
the soil.
Hidden tomb revelation.
fans, and
At
the
first, the
world
journal found
speechless.
beneath the meditation
It
garden
started
at
with
Grace and
concerns
seemed like a
about
private
soil
escape,
erosion.
a place where Elvis
But what
Presley
recently
wrote
came
down
to light
thoughts
has
of
added an
peace,
entirely
prayer,
new layer to the the
and
story.
reflection. But as
The
experts
discovery
turned
started
the
as
pages,
part of an
the
effort to
tone
address
began to
concern.
shift.
No pipes.
The entries took a
No
dark
wiring.
tone,
Just
revealing
metal,
something far
embedded in
more
earth where
unsettling
there should
than
have been
anyone had
nothing but
expected.
Tennessee clay.
This wasn't just the
Curiosity.
journal
The
of a man
Graceland
seeking
Foundation
quiet.
wanted
It
to
was a journal
reinforce
of
the
someone
Meditation
haunted.
Gardens Foundation
Elvis didn't
to
just
protect the area
talk
from
about
future
faith
damage.
or needing a break from
About
fame.
soil
He
erosion
wrote
beneath
about
the
visions,
meditation garden.
strange warnings,
Engineers were
and a
called in
growing
to
fear
assess
that
the
something
area
or
and
someone was
strengthen the
watching
foundation.
him. One
To be
passage
turned to
sent
alarm
chills
when the
down
digging
everyone's
revealed an
spine.
aged,
They
rusted
told me
iron
this
hatch
place would
sealed with
never be
bolts.
found.
The Graceland Foundation halted all work, and within
if you're reading this,
brought in their machines,
then maybe they found
expecting a routine job.
That single line
but as
sparked
they
a
dug
wave of
deeper near
speculation,
Elvis's
and soon
tomb,
the story was
their
making
routine
headlines
task
around
that's
the
common
world.
in maintaining
the media
historic
called it the
properties.
hidden tomb revelation.
While carrying out the
Some
excavation
thought
work near the
was
base of
simply
the tomb,
the creative expression
crew members
of troubled
hours,
artists.
experts were flown in with
Elvis working through the
archaeologists,
emotional
structural
weight of being a
engineers,
global
and even
icon.
spiritual
But
historians.
others weren't so sure.
Something was down there.
What if Elvis knew
Hit something
What if he
unexpected?
built that secret
A
chamber
loud
to hide
metallic
more than
clang
just his
echoed
emotions?
through the site.
And then there was the photo.
It wasn't a
tucked
pipe
into the back of
or
the
a
journal.
wand.
was an
equipment
old
struck something
Polaroid.
unexpected.
It showed Elvis sitting
What should have been
quietly
clay
at
and
the
rock
altar in the
produced a
underground
sharp
room,
metallic sound.
eyes shut.
Initial
hands in
assumptions
prayer.
lean
But
towards
the
something
real
no one had
mystery
accounted
wasn't
for.
him. It was
Something
the
that had
faint
been
shadow
intentionally hidden.
Figure in the
When the hatch
background.
was finally
It
opened,
didn't look
what they
human.
found stunned
Experts
even the
sent
most.
the photo for forensic analysis.
It was something solid.
But no one came back
Something
with a clear
buried
answer.
in the earth
Some said it was a
where
trick
no
of the
one
light.
thought anything
Others
should
believed
be.
it could be
Towards
something
standard
else
underground
entirely.
infrastructure.
Suddenly, this wasn't
Maybe
just
old
about a
piping
journal
or a
even
structural
hidden room.
remnant from earlier
It was about
renovations.
something much deeper.
But further
a
digging
legacy
revealed
wrapped
Skeptical
in
minds.
mystery. What had
Beneath
Elvis
the
been
meditation
protecting?
garden,
What had he
directly under
buried
Elvis
beneath his
Presley's
own
tomb,
grave?
lay
That's
a
when the
narrow
Graceland
spiral
Foundation
staircase
announced
carved.
a full-scale
At first, the workers
investigation.
thought maybe
the
it
team
was an old
began
utility
carefully
box.
analyzing every piece of
But
the
when
journal,
they cleared away
every
more
drawing,
revealed
every
something
cryptic
far
line.
less ordinary.
One entry in particular
Workers
stood out.
uncovered a
Behind
rusted
the
iron
weight of
hatch
stone and
embedded
song
firmly
lies
in the
memory
earth.
they told me to forget.
It wasn't
In stone,
That sentence
leading
hit
30
hard.
feet underground
It
into a
suggested there
chamber
was
cloaked
more.
in silence
Something
and cold.
still waiting to be discovered.
At first glance, it resembled a
The search
chapel.
expanded.
They
Old
found a
blueprints from the
rusted iron
1950s were
hatch,
brought out.
sealed tightly
Construction
with
records
bolts.
were reviewed. Even
That's
aerial
when
photos of
everything
Graceland
stopped.
were re-examined.
Connected to any known
And just when
utility,
the bus
and it didn't
seemed to
appear
be
in any of
fading,
the site's official
investigators
blueprints
made
or
a second
architectural
shocking
records.
discovery. In the
The hatch
northeast
was
Candle
wing of
niches
the
lined the
Graceland
stone
mansion,
walls.
in an area
A wooden
long
crucifix
closed to
stood
the
leaning in
public
the
and
corner.
used as storage.
Dust thick
They
enough to
found
preserve
something
footsteps
hidden in
covered every
plain sight.
surface.
A sealed
Graceland
doorway plastered
Foundation
over and
immediately
buried behind
halted
layers of
construction.
memorabilia.
Within
It wasn't
hours,
listed on any
a team
official
of
plans.
specialists was
Behind it was a
bolted
narrow
shut
hallway that
and
led
showed signs
downward
of age,
deeper into the estate.
indicating it had been in
The air
place
was
for
heavy
decades,
down there,
possibly
cold
longer.
and still. It felt
At
like
the-
time had stopped.
And in the center,
The hallway opened
a small altar.
into a small chamber.
On it was a leather-bound
Simple
journal,
but
its
carefully
spine
designed.
cracked and
Candle
pages
holders
worn
lined the walls just like in the tomb
Archaeologists,
beneath the garden.
engineers,
And on the
and
far
even
wall,
spiritual
a mosaic
historians.
showed three white doves
Something was
flying
buried
toward a
beneath
red
At that
eye.
point, all
Beneath
work
the
was
image,
paused.
carved in Elvis's own
Graceland's
handwriting
foundation
were the
issued a
words,
hold on the
"When
project
I am gone,
and
let
contacted
them
a
find
group of
not
independent
just
up with
music,
time.
but
And
truth."
inside that journal,
This moment
written in
changed
Elvis's
everything.
unmistakable
The chamber
handwriting,
beneath the
were
tomb
entries
was no
never
longer
before
a
seen by the
one-time
public.
secret. It was part of
Graceland,
something larger.
no one had a clue
pattern,
what it could
a
be.
plan. Elvis wasn't
they
just
finally
hiding from the
opened the
noise of the
hatch,
world.
what
He
they
may have been
found-
laying down
experts,
clues,
including
building a quiet trail
archaeologists,
towards something he
structural
believed the
engineers,
world would one
and
day
historical
need to see.
consultants,
A
to
map
assess the
beneath
situation
Graceland.
before.
They chronicled a
second
period in his
hidden
later
chamber
years
beneath
where fame had
Graceland
become a
wasn't
burden,
anything like the
and
first.
faith was his
It
only
wasn't
refuge.
dusty.
He called it
wasn't
his
golden
pilgrimage
worn.
chamber.
In
Took
fact, it
everyone
looked
by
untouched,
surprise.
clean,
Beneath the
perfectly
meditation
preserved,
garden,
as if
right
someone had been
under
taking
Elvis's
care of
resting
it all
place,
these years.
was a
In the
stone
center of the
for
room
proceeding.
sat a glass box.
Within hours,
and inside
a
was
secured
something
perimeter
simple
was
yet
established
deeply
around the
personal.
site,
A gold
and investigative
pendant with a
personnel
small
were brought
emerald
in to
set
carry.
in its center.
One entry read,
It was elegant.
"I come down here when the noise
unflashy,
gets too loud,
very
and the
unlike
voices of the
flashy
world drown
Elvis
out the
many
voice of
fans
God."
knew. Next to the
Down
pendant
here,
sat a tape
staircase
recorder and a
spiraling
smaller
30
journal.
feet
Much
underground.
older than the first.
At the bottom
the first
was
page
a
carried a
cold,
message
silent
that
chamber.
instantly made the
It
room
carefully
feel
examined
heavier.
what lay beneath.
This is not for the fans.
When the hatch was
this
finally
is not for
opened,
the cameras.
what the team
This is my
found would
reckoning.
challenge the
Those
long-held
words alone
understanding
shook
of-
I feel
everyone who
real.
read them.
Down
it
here,
was
I
no
remember
longer
who I
just
am.
about music or fame.
The room wasn't a
It was about
construction
something
relic.
deeply
It
personal.
was intentional.
Maybe even painful.
almost like
the
a
experts who
secret
discovered
chapel.
the second chamber
The
weren't
walls
just
had
surprised.
small shelves
They were
for
floored.
candles.
This
A
wasn't
wooden
just another
crucifix
hidden
leaned in
space.
Graceland's
it was
layout,
carefully designed,
and Elvis
like a
Presley's
message
personal
carved
life.
into the heart of
Below the
Graceland
tomb,
itself.
a narrow
Elvis
spiral
had
staircase carved from
randomly
stone
built these
Built
rooms.
during a
He had
renovation in the
planned
late
them,
1960s,
hidden them,
it had
and
never
left
been
clues
included in the
behind.
blueprints.
Almost like he
Only a
wanted
few close
someone
confidants ever knew about
but only
it.
when the time was right. When the news broke that a second secret chamber had been found beneath Graceland,
in the center of the
world couldn't look away.
At approximately
Social media
30 feet
lit up.
underground.
News outlets
At the bottom,
raced to cover the
there was a
story.
small chamber.
And even historians
The
who
room was
usually rolled
silent,
their eyes
cool.
at Elvis conspiracies
Perhaps members of his
admitted
inner
something big
circle,
was happening.
the Memphis
This wasn't
Mafia.
a hoax.
But why
This
build a
wasn't a
sacred
tourist
space
stunt.
beneath his future grave?
It was real.
In a lot,
And it was
Simple
deeply
stone altar.
strange. The press
On it
conference was
was a
held on
leather
the front
journal,
lawn of
its
Graceland.
pages old and
Reporters,
worn.
fans, and
When they
cameras
opened-
gathered
covered
while
in
the
a
lead
fine layer of
preservationist
dust
confirmed
that had
what many
clearly gone
already
undisturbed
suspected.
for many years.
Elvis had hidden parts
At
of
first
himself
glance, the
beneath
chamber appeared to
Graceland.
resemble a
Not
chapel.
Live
just
press briefing
physically,
streamed
but
globally.
emotionally
The Graceland
and
Foundation
spiritually.
confirmed the
He had
discovery,
created a private
calling it a
legacy,
monumental revelation
altars,
and a piece of the king's soul.
Opened the
spoke to his
journal,
own beliefs,
they were shocked
his
to
doubts,
see Elvis's
and perhaps
own
a side of
handwriting.
him he never shared
These were
publicly.
personal entries.
But it got even more
Words,
intense.
no.
Inside
Small
the
candle holders
second
were fixed
journal,
into the stone
there was
walls.
a dated entry.
A wooden
October
crucifix
9,
leaned against a corner,
1975.
and in the center
They
of the
will
room,
come
hidden in
looking
plain sight.
If they find this,
The
they
media
are already
exploded.
too late.
Conspiracy
There's
theorists
more,
stirred,
not hidden,
fans wept, and
deeper.
experts struggled
That
to wrap
last
their
No
word,
one had read
deeper,
before.
sparked a frenzy.
He wrote about how
was there
fame
another
had
level
taken a
beneath
toll on
Graceland?
him.
Was
How the
Elvis leading
spotlight
people towards
sometimes felt
something
stood a
else?
modest altar.
Was this all part of a
There were
bigger
no
journey
electrical
like a
fixtures,
spiritual treasure
no signs
hunt
of
that
modern
only he
equipment,
understood?
only natural
People started
stone,
to look at
aged
Graceland
timber.
their minds
differently.
around the
Tour
implications.
guides were told to stay
But the real
quiet
question
about the
wasn't just what
discoveries.
Elvis had built,
Experts began
but why he'd
examining
chosen to
every
conceal
hallway,
it so completely.
every locked
Like a
door,
prison.
every shadow,
And how
on the
he
blueprint.
found comfort
TV
in
shows
this
started
quiet
airing
underground
specials, and
space.
fans posted theories by the
He
hour.
called it
It
his
was no
work
longer just
and
about
subtle
what had been
religious symbols.
found. It was about
What
what
stood
might
out
still
immediately
be
to the
hidden.
team was a
Even the
leather-bound
skeptics were
journal
running
placed
out
on
of
the altar.
explanations. Two hidden
That's when things
chambers,
took an even darker
private
turn.
journals,
The
religious
journal didn't just
symbols,
document
a
peace and
gold
prayers.
cross, a
It hinted
shadow,
at
and a
torment.
photo. None of it fit
Pilgrimage
the
chamber.
usual story of Elvis.
In one
and yet
entry, he
somehow
wrote,
it made
I
perfect
come down
sense if
here
you believed
when the
that
noise
Elvis
gets too loud.
wasn't just a performer,
Its spine was cracked,
but a man trying
and the
to leave
pages showed
something
signs of
behind,
water damage
something
and
that
age.
went far beyond
The most
music.
striking
Now
detail,
the big
however,
question
was
hangs
the
in the
handle.
air.
Visions,
What else
warnings,
is down there?
a fear that
What
he was
other
being
messages
watched
did
even in
Elvis
death.
hide? And were they
One
meant for
chilling
us, or were they
passage
meant for
read,
someone else entirely?
They
When the
One
voices
thing's for
of the
sure,
world drown
Graceland is
out
no
the
longer
voice
just
of
a
God.
museum. It's a
Down
mystery,
here,
a map,
I feel real.
grave robbery that changed
Writing
everything.
inside.
In the sweltering
After
heat
careful
of a Memphis
comparison
summer,
with
the
verified
world
personal
came to a
writings,
stop on the 16th
experts
of August,
confirmed it matched Elvis
1977.
Presley's.
told me this
Elvis
place would never be
Presley,
found. But I
arguably
feel
the
it.
most famous
Eyes,
entertainer on the planet,
always eyes.
had died
If you're
unexpectedly
reading
at
this,
just
then
42
maybe they
years
found
old.
it.
Down here,
His sudden passing
I
sent
remember
shock waves
who
around
I
the globe.
am.
Fans gathered in mourning.
This secret room
Media
wasn't an
outlets
accident.
scrambled for coverage.
Known script.
And the gates of Graceland
The contents of the
overflowed
journal
with
were
grief
private and
just
introspective,
days later.
not designed
However,
for public consumption.
something even more
They
shocking
offered a
happened
glimpse
just
Me too.
days later. However,
The announcement rocked
something
every
even
Elvis
more
archive and
shocking
museum
happened.
from Memphis to
Something
Tupelo.
darker
The media
on August
branded it
29th.
the hidden.
Only
It had
13
been built
days
during
after
a
his
renovation
death,
in the late
an unbelievable
1960s,
plan unfolded.
carefully,
Forest Hill
deliberately,
Cemetery,
and
where
completely
Elvis had been
off
buried
the official-
beside his
Presley's
beloved
later
mother,
years from a very
Gladys.
personal perspective.
3 men,
He wrote about inner
strangers with
struggles,
bad
a
intentions,
sense of pressure
tried
from
to
fame,
steal his body.
and a desire for
Their
quiet.
goal,
Tomb
to
revelation.
hold Elvis's remains
Some
for
called it an
ransom and
artistic
demand
expression of
large
a
sum
haunted
from the
genius.
Presley family.
Others
Was a
whispered that
bizarre,
Elvis had known
horrifying
something,
plot that
maybe
shook
something
not
that
just
Blueprints.
Memphis, but the
Only a
entire
few
nation.
people close
The
to
scheme
Elvis,
didn't go as
possibly
they had hoped.
members of
The
his
men
trusted inner
underestimated
circle
just
known
how
as the
difficult
Memphis
it would be
Mafia.
to move
A
Elvis's
place where he could
massive
reflect
casket.
and escape the
It
noise
was
that came
unusually
with his
heavy
public
and
persona.
not easily handled.
One entry
Even
described
more,
the space as a
local
personal.
He couldn't
police
say
had
aloud.
kept close watch on
Something
the
he
cemetery,
buried below him to
knowing
keep
how
safe or to
famous
keep
the burial
hidden.
site had become.
And then there's the
Authorities
photo.
stepped in quickly
Tucked
and arrested
inside
the
the-
would-be grave robbers
likely
before
knew
they could
about
carry
it.
out their plan.
But no one
The
ever
attempt
spoke of
rattled
it. Not
Vernon
in
Presley,
interviews, not
Elvis's
in
father.
books,
To
not
the
in
core,
whispers.
he was
Sanctuary.
already heartbroken by his
I come
son's
down
death.
here when the noise
But
gets
now
too
he had
loud,
to face the
when
very
the
real
voices of the
possibility
world
that his
drown out
son's
the voice
final
of
resting
God.
place could be
The
violated.
final pages of
It
the
was
journal.
too much.
A Polaroid
Vernon
with
made
a faded and
swift
eerie
life
image showing
change.
Elvis in the chamber,
Decision,
seated at the
Elvis and
altar,
Gladys would
eyes
be
closed.
moved. Within weeks,
Why
their
did
remains
Elvis
were
create
relocated
such a
to
hidden
Graceland,
space beneath
where a special
where he would
area,
one day be buried?
what we now know as the
Was it a
meditation
pla-
garden,
Down here, I
would
feel
become
real.
their permanent resting
Down
place.
here, I remember
that
who
move
I am.
changed everything. What
The
had
journal
started as a
painted a
response
picture
to
of someone
fear and grief
searching for
ended up
hands
turning
pressed in
Graceland
prayer.
into something more than
But what
just
caught
Elvis's
experts' attention
home.
wasn't him.
It became a sacred
It was the figure in
site,
the background,
a place of
a
tribute,
shadowy outline.
a
Place
sanctuary,
for reflection,
and in time, it
a
would
personal
become the
retreat,
center of a much much
or
deeper
something
mystery.
even deeper.
Years later,
A symbol
when
of
hidden
his
underground
spiritual
chambers
journey.
were discovered
Not just
beneath the
from fame,
meditation garden,
but perhaps
the
from
earlier
something more
events
complex.
took on new meaning.
While it doesn't
One of
reference
the
any
journals
formal
found in
religious
secret
barely
space
visible,
contained unsettling
not human.
lines.
The
Elvis
image
had
was
written
submitted
about
for
feeling
forensic
watched,
analysis, but no
about
explanation
being told
followed.
The chamber would remain
One thing-
hidden forever. If you're
When the
reading
Graceland
this,
Foundation
one
held a
line
press
more,
conference
then
to
maybe
share
they
the
found
news,
me.
they called it a
It raised a
monumental
terrifying
revelation.
question.
Practice in detail.
Had someone known
there are
about
references
this
to
secret
prayer,
even back in
reflection,
1977,
and solitude.
if the grave
It
robbers had
suggested that the
succeeded,
chamber
they
wasn't
might
a
have
relic
done
of
more
was
than
clear.
just disturb
This
Elvis's
wasn't just
remains.
about a room or
They
even
could
a
have
journal.
stumbled upon the
It was
very
about
chamber
legacy,
that held his
mystery,
most private thoughts,
and the sobering
his
realism.
faith,
A rare
his
look
fears,
into the soul
things
of
no
a man
fan had
whom
ever
the world
seen.
thought they
The
already knew.
pendant the journals,
The
the
discovery
haunting
sent
messages.
shockwaves through
None of it might
construction,
have survived.
but a deliberately
for
built
fans and
space
experts
created for
alike.
personal
The
use.
attempted theft only
In terms of
deepened the
origin,
mystery
records from the
surrounding Elvis's
Graceland
death.
estate
And what he
Accusation
may
that
have been
Elvis
trying to
Presley may
protect.
have been hiding
Was
more than
Elvis
just his
really
pain.
buried at Graceland?
He may have been guarding
There
a
are many
secret the world
conspiracy
wasn't ready
theories
for.
that Elvis Presley
And with
wasn't
that, the door to
actually
something.
buried at
The media.
Graceland. Some say he
Fans
never died
cried.
at all. That it was
Reporters
a body
rushed to
double
cover the story.
in the coffin, and that the
Conspiracy
real Elvis
theorists came out
disappeared,
and
showed that
leaving
there were
behind a
renovations
secret
carried
for the
out in the
world
late
to uncover one
1960s.
day.
Though
For
not all
decades,
updates were
these
documented
wild
with full
theories were passed
transparency
around
at the
by
time.
Something much larger creaked
whispered
open.
at Graceland's
The
gates,
Graceland
and
revelation.
dismissed by experts.
The chamber
But as
beneath the
strange
tomb
new
was
discoveries
just the
come to
beginning.
light,
As
those old
experts
rumors are
full
starting to
force,
sound a
trying
little
to
less
connect
crazy.
the dots in wild
After
new
Elvis's
ways.
reported death on the 16th
beyond
of
all the
August,
buzz,
1977,
the room
he was
rang.
buried at Forest
It's
Hill
possible
Cemetery
that the
next
chamber
to his
was
mother,
constructed during this
Gladys.
period,
It seemed
perhaps
like a
with only
peaceful
a
resting
handful of
place.
trusted individuals aware of
Presley,
Poured over Elvis
Elvis's
Presley's
father,
handwritten
was
journal,
shaken by the
cataloging
grave
each
robbery
page with
attempt.
forensic care.
He feared it could
became
happen
clear
again.
that this wasn't
That's
a collection
when
of
Verna made a
musings.
huge
It was a
decision
Raised a
to
very
move Elvis
human
and his mother to
question.
Graceland
What
by
was
October
Elvis
19th,
searching for
with
down
help from
there?
the authorities. Their remains
Hidden
were
tomb,
exhumed
its
and reburied
existence.
in a special area of
These
Elvis's
revelations
own estate,
raised several
the
questions.
meditation garden.
Why
The
would such a
garden
room
wasn't
be built
just
in
any
secret?
backyard feature.
Why
It was a
roadmap.
quiet, peaceful
Not just to his
place
soul,
Elvis
but
had
to something
loved during
bigger.
his lifetime,
Something buried
built in
not
the
just in soil, but in
1960s.
time.
It had been his retreat,
One
Revelation.
space, to think, pray,
At
and
first,
escape the
the journal
pressures of
found
fame.
beneath the
Putting
meditation
him to
garden
rest
at
there seemed
Graceland
meaningful.
seemed like a
But not
Directly
everyone
beneath
believed
his
that was the
future
only
burial
reason.
site.
Some
And
skeptics
why had it
claimed the
remained
move was more
undiscovered for
about
so
money than
long,
security.
especially
They
at such a
accused Verna of
high-profile
trying to
Line in
turn
particular
Graceland
sparked a
into
wave of
tourist hotspot,
speculation.
knowing that
Behind the
having
weight of
Elvis
stone
buried
and
there
song
would draw huge
lies the
crowds.
memory they told
the
me to
Presley
forget.
estate denied it,
For the
private
insisting
escape.
the decision was made
A
to
place
protect
where Elvis
Elvis's
Presley
legacy.
wrote down
But the
thoughts of
questions
peace,
didn't go away.
prayer, and
Then,
reflection.
decades later,
But his
everything
expectation-
changed. In a
In a
shocking
rare public
twist,
statement,
a
the
hidden chamber
Graceland
was discovered
Foundation
beneath
confirmed
the
the
meditation
existence of the
garden.
chamber and its
Inside
contents.
were objects that made
The
people
Graceland
stop and
Foundation,
think.
already
A
reeling
glass
from the
box,
discovery of the
a
secret
gold
chapel,
cross with a green
this sentence
stone,
triggered a
and
deeper
a leather-bound
excavation,
journal written in
figurative
Elvis's
and
own
literal.
hand.
Experts
In
turned
the
the
journal,
pages.
Elvis
the
talked
tone
about his
began to
spiritual
shift.
struggles,
The
his
entries
fears of
took a
being
darker
watched,
turn,
and his need to hide
revealing
from the
something
world.
far more.
Calling
One
it an
page simply
unexpected
said, "This is
discovery of
not for the
significant
fans.
historical
This is my
interest."
reckoning." Now,
They also acknowledged
people
the
began to
sensitive
wonder,
nature of the find.
Did Elvis?
If the
Know
king of
something
rock
we
and roll
didn't
had gone so
was
far
a
as to build a
meditation
sacred
garden, not
underground
just a
refuge
peaceful
beneath his
spot,
final resting
but
place,
part of a
what
bigger
else had he
plan.
hidden in Graceland's sprawling, storied estate? The new investigation took on an almost sacred